Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I wanted to check in with you on my build in progress that is loosely labeled as Crit Shotgun Spark Inquisitor. Yes, it's a long one and you can shorten it if you like. It is a build in progress. Right now my character is level 50, so roughly halfway to the very end game that not many people reach, okay? Why halfway? Because at about level 45, 50, I can tell if I like the build, if I'm gonna continue on the build, and if I know enough about it to show it to you and to basically gauge your interest ultimately if I should keep going, and if you would like further information on this, if you'd like to push me to push this towards end game, or if the reception is a bit lukewarm. So now is your chance to give me a like and leave a comment down below if you would like to learn more. And today I'm gonna tell you the essentials of this build, why I like it, what makes it tick, what gear, main gear, and the current direction of the talent points and all that kind of stuff. So it is a build in progress. You can absolutely get started on this. And spoiler alert, I actually quite like it. I think it's an awesome build. So let's get started. So obviously we are talking about our lovely triggered old man Templar who is ascended as an Inquisitor. It is a build revolving around the skill called Spark. Spark is a spell, it's a projectile, it's a lightning spell, it has a certain duration to it. We are shotgunning, so to speak, a lot of sparks in the direction of where you're pointing with your mouse, and amplifying these sparks obviously with a variety of different support gems that we will go through in a minute. And these sparks can overlap, they can travel over each other at the same time. That's what makes it a shotgun effect, like lots of these pellets shooting, if you know what I mean. Why also it's a shotgun? It's a massive amount of damage if the pellets overlap as much as possible, and if you hit actually the crowd with these sparks, yeah. And at the same time, it's like shotgun, it is very effective at medium towards close range and not effective at long range almost at all, simply because sparks die out, they don't travel that crazy far. Yeah, I've seen pimped out builds that are completely like pimped to the level of exalts upon exalts of budget, and that makes the sparks be literally everywhere and travel across the screen, and maybe even I will reach something similar towards the end game. But this is not that case. It's very modest. It's a modest build that completely destroys stuff at level 50. It's a lot of freaking fun, but you get my drift. You shoot the sparks, they travel somewhere, they're not very precise, which also makes it shotgun-like, but you need to target in the direction of the enemy and you should be alright. What is good about the sparks is that they don't live too long, but they don't die out immediately. They still travel a bit. That's what makes them overlap and travel a bit. So there is a lot of interesting stuff to that mechanic. Also, the beauty of this build as a potential league starter, that we are right now a little bit late to the party, but who knows, maybe I will start next league with this Spark build because I'm quite enjoying it so far. What makes it great is that you get Spark straight away. So it's always awesome not to wait for a certain spell to come into your arsenal around level, I don't know, 30, and only then start enjoying this build. But it's important to get this straight up and kind of start feeling like this growing kind of character from the beginning. For me anyway. Let me know in the comments down below if that tickles your fancy as well. Now, how am I going with this? At best, currently at level 50, I have a few uniques that you don't need. Don't panic, you don't need these uniques, but they make life a little bit easier and a bit more fun, to be honest with you. They're ridiculously cheap as well. Let's go through my very primitive setup. For the weapon, I'm using Axiom Perpetuum. It's a known bronze scepter that is increasing elemental damage substantially and adds a lot of elemental damage. So that is a very recommended. I'm not going to say it's the end game worthy item, but you can just go right now to the marketplace of Path of Exile, official marketplace, find someone selling this item. I have not, when I'm recording this narrative, I have not yet checked, but here is my bet for you, and I will overlay it on the screen if I'm right. My bet is that it will be between 1 and maximum 5 chaos. I would say between 1 and 2 is my bet. So it's dirt cheap, and it's a great weapon that you can start using pretty much from I can't remember from what level, but like from level, I'm gonna say 2. Yeah. I'm also using Honor Dome once again, just like in my previous build in progress for my minions. It is, first of all, it does +2 level to socketed gems, which is in itself an amazing boost. It adds lightning to spells and attacks. Great, thank you very much. That's exactly what we need. And it reduces the mana cost of skills. It doesn't give any particular stats. It doesn't give any resistances. So that's obviously a loss, and we would need to replace that towards the end game. But at the moment, it's freaking awesome. It's really good. I'm also using Praxis ring that you also can get between 1 and 5 chaos. That's just my bet right now. I haven't looked on the market yet, but it's always very cheap. It's an amazing mana regeneration, mana recuperation item. So if you're struggling with mana, don't worry about anything. We have a lot of nodes here on the talent tree that are improving our mana regeneration, but just buy yourself Praxis and thank me later and you'll be alright, mate. That's it. That's all I'm using as far as the special kind of items are concerned. Yes, I also have completely random sash here, which gives cold resistance. It increases projectile damage by 20%, which is a lot, at least right now at level 50 when I don't have anything better available. 20% more damage, right? And it also deals a bit of chaos damage per second to enemies that come close to me. I'm not going to be killing enemies using that, but it's a nice little addition. I will also be replacing this item with something more stat worthy towards the end game. Now, let's not make the mistake of my previous video of build in progress, and let's go exactly through the skills I'm using at this stage. Okay, I'm using Zealotry Aura because it's a critical shotgun. So we are going to be trying to crit as much as possible. That's how we're scaling the damage. Not just linear scaling of lightning damage, as in added lightning damage and boosted lightning damage, but also criticals, yeah? So Zealotry Aura, Molten Shell, that I'm going to be replacing with Immortal Call, because I like Immortal Call better than Molten Shell, and I'll tell you why. Simply because I am also using Steel Skin. Steel Skin is bound to my movement key, and it grants immunity to bleeding, which would kill us very fast otherwise, and it also gives quite a bit of a buff to to damage taken. Well, okay, in my case I don't have that much armor, that's why it's only 188 damage, but it's good. It at least removes the bleeding. Problem is that it's a god skill, so when it's proccing, another god skill such as Molten Shell cannot proc. So that's important to understand. So you will either part with this or you will never see Molten Shell proc. It's your choice. And then here I have cast when damage taken support that is intended to proc Molten Shell, but as you can see, it's a build in progress. I'm admitting it. It's not yet optimized, which is why this whole tie-up here is not working particularly well. Yeah. I am obviously using Spark, and here deliberately it's a yellow item that the Spark is in, and it's only a 4-link right now. That does a lot of damage already. Here we have Spark. Here we have PS support. We want the Spark to travel through enemies and not die in them. Here we have Spell Echo because we want to cast faster and we want to cast twice. So that's how our double barrel shotgun. It's a double barrel shotgun. I'm trademarking it right now. And then we have added lightning damage support. Bread and butter, everything is great. Take a look at the comments, and not at the comments, but at the description below, because once I have a POB worthy of sharing, I'm going to put it in the description, and I'm also going to list in the notes of POB, and in the POB itself I'm going to list what are the items, what are the gems I would be adding once I have 5-link and once I have 6-link, if I stick with this build until the point when I actually get a 6-link. Of course, you can buy a 6-link right now from the market as well. I'm just skipping that bit because that's obvious, right? Alright, so that's our main cluster of the damage. What else am I using? I am using Holy Flame Totem. Yes, why am I using Holy Flame Totem? Because it makes me feel warm and fuzzy. Quite literally and quite figuratively. Holy Flame Totem, other than adding damage and other than being kind of a stationary automated turret that helps me get rid of the enemies, splash the damage a little bit while I'm casting Spark, kill the stragglers and all that kind of stuff, Holy Flame Totem is amazing. In addition to that, it has Consecration Aura. So if you're dealing with something like Doedry or something else, some other boss that basically tries to curse you, Consecration grants you immunity to curses. Stand in it and you're going to be alright, mate. And of course, our Ascendancy is going to give us immunity to curses as well, but you will be taking advantage of this long before you're going to ascend as an Inquisitor, okay? And Holy Flame Totem is supported by Summon Phantasm support. Bear with me, I'll explain it in a second. added lightning damage support because I wanted to level a gem. It's not the best support here, but it's okay, it will do. And added fire damage support. Why not? Let's shotgun them with everything. It's a bit of a meme build right now while I'm leveling, but I'm enjoying it immensely. Speaking of meme builds, why Phantasm support? Again, because they are actually quite strong early in the game. When you are just leaving Lion's Eye Watch, when you're starting to level, you get summon phantasms quite early from Nessa. You can buy the gem, and they are minions that don't require any upkeep. They just get summoned, and they swarm the field sometimes, distract the enemies, and kind of speed their little pew 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 things, killing the stragglers and finishing off enemies that I can't be bothered finishing off. So it's okay. Once again, you tell me, is it going to stay there until the end of the game, until the end game? Of course not, my friend. I'm going to replace it with something else much more worthy. Now, in Axiom Perpetuum, we are running Herald of Thunder. Herald of Thunder is an amazing aura slash herald slash buff to your lightning damage that also creates a storm when you kill a shocked enemy. We'll be killing shocked enemies all the time with our Spark, and then this thing from above, pew 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 pew, starts also killing stragglers and adding to your DPS. It's fantastic. The build is not built around it, you know, so we're not boosting heralds anyhow. We're not really investing too much into them other than just support gems. Some of the support gems, which again you will see are not optimized in this case, but it is a lot of fun, and it kind of helps with clear a lot, especially at this stage in the game. No question about that. Supported by elemental proliferation support, yes, can be replaced by just lightning support, lightning damage support, fantastic. And Defiance Banner is just because I didn't have any other really socket for it, so I put it there. But you could obviously have some other support there. For example, increased area of effect support gem would go there well, and something like that. So up to you what you're going to use there. In the boots, I have Steel Skin. I already showed it to you. I like the removal of the blood, corrupted blood, or any bleeding, because bleeding effects are generally on skinnier characters, on young characters, on early game characters. Bleeding over time damage, physical damage over time effects, they kill you faster than you would like, naturally. And also I have here summon Ice Golem. Ice Golem is my new little friend, unsupported at the moment. Of course, we can support both of these things with something. And Ice Golem does one wonderful thing. Like I said, we are scaling damage of this build with critical chance. And Ice Golem is going to give us critical chance, which is fantastic, yeah? Extra critical chance. Now, in my shield, I have Flame Dash. That's my preferred mode of travel. I know that people use Shield Charge, people use Leap Slam, people use even Frost Blink. But I use Flame Dash because it has 3 charges, and I just like it. It has faster casting support, so that it's a little bit faster to come around, and it has Arcane Surge support, because why not, really? And that, I think, unless I've missed something else, that is about it. And as far as the stats are concerned, you are simply keeping up with the stats that are allowing you to continue progressing your leveling of the gems. Yeah, so don't forget about your strength, don't forget about your dexterity, but ultimately it's an intellect-based build. Critical chance, intellect, spell damage, and lightning damage and elemental damage wherever you can. Now let's quickly take a look at the talent tree. We start as a Templar over here. We take notable things such as Holy Dominion, Light of Divinity. We are boosting our health when we can. Precision here is purely for that purpose of keeping up with dexterity requirement. We are taking Purity of Flesh, and we are, by the way, in case you're saying where else are you going, Gyro, we are absolutely going to extend over here and go and take Sovereignty, because we want to have a bit of a breathing space there with reserved auras, and hopefully squeeze something extra in, such as Determination. Good luck to us, because it's a big fat one, so maybe not, maybe something else. That's why I'm running Defiance Banner, while I cannot squeeze in Determination. That answers your question as well, in case you had it. We are obviously taking Quick Recovery. We're taking Life Mastery because this one is a no-brainer. We are taking Ash, Frost and Storm, speaks for itself. Increased elemental damage, and it's fantastic, yes. And we are taking Elemental Mastery of hits have 25% chance to treat enemy monster resistances as inverted. That means that if you're dealing with some annoying boss and they have 50% lightning resistance, there, then every 4th hit that they experience, and they'll be experiencing a lot of hits from you, let me tell you that, will be treating that as their elemental resistance of -50. That's freaking crazy, right? Freaking crazy. It's also a fairly short jog here to increase of the mana and regeneration of life per second. That's how I also intend to continue reinforcing this build going forward. And a very short stretch to the wheel of health, wheel of life, however you want to call it. Yeah. And we are going to be taking Constitution over here to beef up a bit towards the end game, naturally. I have taken Heart and Soul. If you are a bit short on your elemental resistances, you can take Practical Application as well. I didn't. Also, it gives you extra stats that you might be missing, Strength and Dexterity. That's an easy one to take. And this is our node, Annihilation is our node to boost critical chance for spells. Yes, we want that. Here we're going down the middle and we're taking Lightning Walker. Yep, let's hit it harder. We are absolutely taking Cruel Preparation, and yes, I have my eye on Crackling Speed. We are going to, once we continue leveling, we're going to also take this Wheel of Crackling Speed to increase casting speed and increase lightning damage by a massive amount. But first, I went over here and took Heart of Thunder. Heart of Thunder is something that I take as an Arc Witch as well a lot. And yeah, it gives us also a chance to branch off here to take Breath of Lightning as a secondary priority, but it still increases your lightning damage by a massive amount. So as you can see, it's a pretty solid build in progress. It's unfinished, evidently, but there is room for growth. It's great, it's enjoyable, and the final thing I'm going to tell you is the Ascendancy. For Ascendancy, first lab, as you can see, I only did one so far. I've taken Sanctuary that gives me automatic Consecrated Ground, and the closest enemies that come to me when I stop and start casting Spark, they will also be hit for 15% more damage. Not bad, not bad. We are going to take Pious Path, which makes Consecrated Ground effect linger for 4 seconds, which is quite a bit when you're running around. It's quite a bit. And it will also give life regeneration to me personally. Great, fantastic, and allies, don't care about them too much at this stage. Now, what are we going to do for the third? There are a few options of what we're going to do for the third lab, and if you're lucky and if you're persistent enough, for the fourth lab. But my friends, I have to incentivize you somehow to stay tuned and let me know if you're interested in this build. So do it right now by liking the video and commenting below, and then I'll check back in with you and let you know what I've done going forward. I do believe, though, quite honestly, that I deserve a little like, because I've given you a lot in this particular build and in this particular build in progress guide. I hope you've enjoyed this. It's a very fun build. The only downsides of it, I would say that obviously it's all on you. So I am very much a minion kind of player. I like minion builds. You just saw my awesome Absolution build, and yeah, which is like rocks, that build rocks, and I love those minions killing everything for me. So in this particular case, once again, being fully in the driver's seat and having to cast, having to run, stop, cast, kill, is a little bit of a change of pace. If you're a little bit like me and a bit lazy, this might be a tiny bit jarring, but I think it's worth your while to try this. And the second thing is, like I said at the beginning, it's a shotgun build, which means it's not a sniper build. You are not going to hit enemies from afar with the traveling sparks that might dissipate or might not even like be precise enough to reach the target. So that's the only thing. Sometimes in bad scenarios, in bad luck scenarios, you're going to be casting Spark and simply not hitting something that's even standing like 5 meters away from you, simply because they are a bit random, those sparks. Well, what can you do? We'll compensate for this by density of sparks going forward and by shooting a lot. So one of them is going to hit them and it's going to hurt. I hope you enjoyed this video. It was a lot of fun for me to put this together and to continue leveling this. Like it, let me know if you like it, and we will be speaking again about something else, Path of Exile, World of Warcraft, you name it, related, very soon. One video per week. Subscribe if you haven't already. What are you waiting for? Goodbye for now.